brothers, I got a question. First off, we're going to be talking about the resurrection. The leading question is, if Jesus had to die for our sins, why would God resurrect him? Isn't that going back on his word? That's the question.
I get the question. The idea of if we just emphasize the idea of Jesus dying, why somebody would believe or think that, well, if he had to die for our sins, then the moment you bring him back to life, how does that work pertaining to our sins?
Right.
Because that's usually the only thing that we ever say, that Jesus had to die for our sins. So I get what they're saying, but it's our misunderstanding.
Really?
So basically, in a nutshell, right? It'll be like this. The major issue was that man was dead. Man died inside the garden. So because man died inside the garden, God's issue was, I need to bring man back to life. But in order to bring man back to life correctly, I also have to deal with the issue of sin. So the wages of sin is death. So the only thing that can pay for sin is actual death. So let's just say, for an instance, you got a loved one. The loved one dies.
Okay.
And then you decide, when the loved one dies, I'm going to pay all their debts off. I'm going to pay for the car that they were driving. I'm going to pay for the house that they stole money on. I'm going to pay for the loans that they got out there. I'm going to pay for all of it. While that's an honorable thing, the person who died, that has no benefit for them, they're not able to enjoy that debt-free life because they're still dead. So the idea that Christ died, right? So Christ died. So he paid for the debt of sin.
Mm-hmm.
But then he also resurrected so he could give us life in being dead, so we can live a debt-free life. So if Christ just dies but he doesn't resurrect, then our sins are paid for, but we're still dead. So where's the communion with God? Because God is the God of the living. So both of it has to happen. Not only does he have to die, he has to resurrect also, because God has to be able to also show us that he is able to take something that is dead and give it life again.
Rob?
I agree. I mean, he is not going against himself.
And why do you say that?
Because he's not going against himself. That's what he was sent for. Christ was sent here to do that. That was his purpose.
How is somebody supposed to even believe something as bizarre as a man being resurrected from the dead? The Bible speaks of these quote-unquote infallible proofs. Can you guys kind of expound on what some of those infallible proofs might even be?
Israel is your infallible proof that God is exactly who he said he is, and that the Bible is true. All other nations and all of mankind's history has been obliterated. Like they are almost just to non-existence. All we got is paperwork on them. That's literally, when you talking about Babylonian Empire, when you talking about the Greeks, when you talking about any of those type of empires at that time, they're literally obliterated. Egypt is under sand. Like, well, what is that? The idea that this nation that God said he gonna protect, it's his people, the Messiah coming through them, all the situations that nation has dealt with, that nation still stands out of all these other nations that we talk about, or we study, all these philosophers, and like I said, dealing with the Greeks, dealing with the Egyptians, dealing with the Babylonians, dealing with the Medo-Persians, they're gone. But there's one nation, the physical infallible proof. I can see Israel as a nation. I can see that something on that nation right there, because they just can't be eliminated no matter how they try. Hitler tried. He tried. He couldn't get rid of them. But any other nation that someone aims to genocide, they've been genocide. Any other nation that people have seek to destroy, naming all those other nations that have been and are now gone, this nation still stands. Not having the strong military might that those other nations had, not having half of the resources that those other nations had, in most cases not even having the numbers that those nations had. But yet still, that nation stands. Israel is the infallible proof that God is exactly who he is, that the Bible is real, that Christ resurrected. That's the infallible proof for anybody who's saying, I need something physical. I got to be able to see it. It can't just be a feeling. Israel is right there today. And all of the things going on in the political arena is surrounding that nation. That's the proof.